Welcome in, everybody. Good morning. Happy Monday. It's time to lead things off. That's right. It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia. That's Dan Harris. It's us and it's you. And we're going to be recapping the weekend that was a Major League Baseball and the night's game slate ahead of us in MLB DFS. And Dan Harris, it's nice to have a little bit of normalcy, it felt like. Shane Bieber continues to strike out guys at a record clip. Steven Strasburg's on the IL. It feels like we're getting a little bit into the stretch of what a normal baseball season is. Am I correct?
It's weird. I feel like I'm taking for granted how awesome it is to just have normal baseball going on, right? After last year, because I've been so annoyed at the Mets, right? Getting postponements all day long, blah, blah, blah. And yet I'm like, what am I doing? We've got baseball. It's amazing. Big story of the weekend for me was if you invested in pitching, you invested heavily in pitching,
Right.
You were pretty much rewarded this weekend, right? Like all the aces came through for you. So it was nice to see in that sense.
The theme of today's show is good pitchers going good. And there were a lot of them this week, including some Mets in Colorado. Who'd have thought that? Lots of swinging and missing in Colorado over this weekend. A fun start by Marcus Strowman and Jacob deGrom finally getting a win, which was very nice. But let's recap the good and the bad from Friday when lastly we left you, because we have Max Scherzer, who was very good. We talked about the real baseball version of, when an ace needs to step up into a big spot and get a W. And he did that. We had him and the stack of the Phillies against Carlos Martinez. That all worked. If you had that, you cashed, you made money. But most importantly, Dan Harris got on the board with a home run. Nick Castellanos finally 1-0. Dan Harris is in the lead. How does it feel to be right?
We were joking about it before we started recording that it of all the things I do, because I do so much like, the long term, the long view, relax, everybody relax, to hit the home run call on a night, because it's the first time I've ever done this where I'm calling home runs every night. That was probably the most exciting moment of my weekend, not just fantasy related, overall, completely. Don't tell my wife, but yes, it's very exciting. I'm ready to go now for more.
Let's not tell Mrs. Harris that, but the worst part is you had to wait for 2 whole days to kind of, to come out.
I just wore a sign, though. I wore a sign all weekend to be like,
I'm a little surprised you didn't come in today with the Castellanos jersey on the live stream. And that's why you watch us on the live stream. No bow tie today, but maybe a Nick Castellanos jersey at some point in time. And we're here on FantasyPros MLB on the YouTube channel. Make sure you click and subscribe to us and get the notifications, because we go live every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. And it's funny, someone actually messaged me, why don't you guys do weekend shows? I was like, well, you need a break. Every now it's nice to have a little bit of time, but it's nice that people like us so much that they just want us every single day. I can assure you, my children don't want me every single day. His wife and kids don't want him around every single day. So look, we're grateful for our audience because you guys are great. Shane Bieber made some history. Let's get to that. He became the first pitcher in big league history to begin the season with 4 straight starts of 10 or more strikeouts, and that is since 1893. So for those of you who are still watching baseball then. But really, we talked about the windows in terms of Cy Young, and I felt like we were in the Shane Bieber window right now. And it still feels like that to me in the American League. As great as Cole is and as good as some of the other performances have been, Shane Bieber's been off the charts to start the year.
Yeah, I mean, not like I was fading him or anything like that. Coming in, he was my 3rd-ranked pitcher, as I think he was probably for most analysts. But I didn't expect this. I kind of was like, man, the jump from last year, the strikeout rate didn't really show these sort of chops in the minors. But, man, he is phenomenal, and it's great to watch. So if you did invest in him, kudos. You're going to have a great year.
He's at a different level right now. He just is. There were a lot of big pitching performances, though, as Dan was alluding to. Best pitching duel of the weekend was Kershaw and Yu Darvish, and that whole series was just good baseball. And they're going to meet up again this coming weekend as well, so we're going to get the inverted version there, where they're going to switch places and keep playing each other. And this is it. I want this on the grand stage. This is what I want in the playoffs at some point. I want Dodgers and Padres in a 7-game series. I don't know how we'll get to there. Well, somehow I hope we do. But that's what I'm looking for. So what were some of your takeaways from that series? I know Tatis looked good yesterday. Finally, that's good. Do you feel like they are evenly matched, or do you feel like the Dodgers are still a significant cut above them?
I think, first of all, MLB should be treating this like Yankees Red Sox, right? Like
agree.
The way they put every game in prime time. The whole weekend should have been this, right? Sunday Night Baseball, Fox Baseball. That's really what they need to do. I think they're pretty evenly matched. You saw this, every game felt like a World Series. it was good to see Tatis come back, but it is worth noting he hit that home run, I think, on Friday, but then he didn't get another hit for the rest of the series. He made an error. I'm where I was before. I do not see this in the end ending well. But yeah, the pitching was great. The Darvish-Kershaw matchup was incredible. Snell bounced back, which was good to see after he got rocked by the Pirates in that last start. But I think it is a little bit of the Dodgers at this point, still a little bit of a cut above. It feels like they could roll out their 8th backup and be fine. By the way, sorry if you hear any background noise here. I got some landscaping going on. But yeah, it was a great series. Dodgers still a little bit of a cut above, but give me all the Dodgers-Padres matchups all year.
The unexpected pitchers duel between John Means, who looked fantastic yesterday, 9 strikeouts. His ERA is down to 1.52. He's going to be on another team real soon, I can tell you that much. Kyle Gibson, 8 shutout innings, 6 Ks for him. His ERA sits at 2.53. Means to me is a guy that really I think teams are going to be aggressive on early. I don't think they're going to wait for July. And the Yankees come to mind. I know it's in the division, but who cares? You're not competing with the Yankees. But if I'm the Yankees right now, I am going after John Means hard. To me, that's the answer to the woes in this rotation. And the Yankees and the Braves right now are looking at the bottom of their respective standings, and they were the favorites going into their respective divisions, going into the season. So there's a little pressure here, and I think John Means is going to be going sooner than later to a contender.
Means is legitimate. I mean, we talked about him a lot in the spring about how, we found that this was the only guy, A, you could name in the Orioles rotation, and B, the only guy who was going to provide value. But he is legit. Maybe not 1.52 ERA, 0.93 whip legit, but he is legit. And yeah, if he does get traded, his stock only goes up. And I do want to do a little bit of a shout out to Kyle Gibson because you did mention him. Look, Kyle Gibson is not going to be a superstar, but he is usable, especially if you're playing in 15-team leagues for sure. But even in 12-team leaguers, I think you can go with him. He added a cutter this offseason. He's got like 14 pitches going on. The cutter's really good, as is his slider. I think he can survive, especially in that ballpark, which no longer plays like a hitter's park. So if you are desperate for pitching, don't completely discount Kyle Gibson because I do think he can provide value.
No, in deeper leagues, I completely agree. Also, Mike Mayer in the chat says, find someone who loves you the way Dan Harris loves Nick Castellanos.
True.
I can't argue with that. Keep the comments coming in the chat. Steven Matz. Are we buying Steven Matz? Because now we're a couple starts in. I know one start we go roll our eyes. Okay, it's Steven Matz. We've seen this before. But now we're a few starts in. 5 strikeouts, 6 innings on Saturday. It was against the Royals, but still the Royals are a competitive team, I think. The top of that order is pretty decent. So where are we at? Is this just Steven Matz maybe with a, getting out of New York, different influence, different mix of pitches, maybe kind of getting a better version of himself?
It looks like the same old. It looks like the same old version of Matz to me. This is the problem. Like, there's nothing.
Maybe he's just new to the American League, and that's it too.
Maybe they haven't seen him yet. And Steven Matz it goes on stretches like this. You and I have seen it as a Mets fan, right? We've seen him go on these runs. So I think this is more just a run. I'm still not buying it, but I mean, on a short term, you can ride anybody. So go ahead and with it. But especially pitching for Toronto, I'm not buying it. Haven't seen anything to make me think that he's any different than he has been his whole career.
Are you buying Dane Dunning? 6 shutout innings against the Orioles, 5 Ks. The ERA is now at 0.60, the whip at 0.80. I got to say I'm buying because this was a high-end prospect, and maybe Texas actually hit dirt on somebody finally.
I think the first podcast of this spring that I hosted, Dunning was like the first name on my list. It's funny because what I liked about him is the fact that he has a dominant slider, really, really good. And he kind of went away from it towards the end, his last few starts of last year. So I looked at his pitch mix this year. He's not throwing it anymore. It's still dominant. It's just he's getting away with just still leaning into his sinker. If he does incorporate that slider anymore, he could be really, really good. So this is not where I'm fully buying in right now, but I do want to add him and see where it goes because I do think he needs to lean into the slider a little more if he's going to have sustained success.
All right, let's talk about a cluster of first basemen, whether or not we're buying them. Joey Votto, 7 for 13 over the weekend. Not bad. Jared Walsh slashing 341, 426, 707. And then Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant, we could, just kind of loop the sluggers in there. Another one, 2 home run game each this weekend. I'm going to say this. I'm buying Jared Walsh because last year in the second half, Jared Walsh had some terrific numbers. He had Soto-esque sort of numbers. Now, look, he's not that same kind of player, but I think what you're seeing here is for real. There will be some regression. He's not going to slug 700. Joey Votto, I'm not into it. I'm just not. Like, if you're in a deeper league and he's your corner guy, it's fine, whatever. But if you're in a shallow league, I just think you could do better. And then with Rizzo and Bryant, look, they're going to have these kind of moments. This is just who they are. At the end of the day, To me, Rizzo and Bryant are fine in season-long roto formats. It's the head-to-head formats where sometimes the ebb and flow can crush you a little bit. So that's kind of my take on these four guys. How about you?
I'm pretty inclined to agree. Walsh,
Okay.
I'm very intrigued by, and the biggest reason is because he's playing in the outfield. So if he's going to get playing time, it's not just like, do they have enough to bench Albert Pujols? If he is going to be playing in the outfield and getting regular playing time, and his bat has certainly basically pushed him into that conversation, then I do think he's somebody who you can pretty much plug in your lineup and leave in there for the rest of the season with Rizzo and Bryant.
H to the Brizzo, B to the Izzy.
That's actually very well
for
done.
Not free agents. Used to dribble down and she.
They're both whatever. They're both fine. Brian, I think, has 5 home runs now at this point, which is good to see. Again, there's a little worries about his StatCast data last year, but I think they both, I don't know. The Cubs are a little hard to watch at various points this year, but they'll both be essentially what you wanted. As for Votto, yeah, very deep leagues, maybe a corner guy, but I mean, the old Votto is gone, so this new Votto is whatever. He's fine, but again, deep leagues only as a corner.
I'm gonna die on this hill that Joey Votto is not a Hall of Famer. I had that argument over the preseason here. He's a nice player. Hall of Famer? I mean, jeez. No, come on. Let's stop.
I'm cold taking on the Votto Hall of Fame one, which is basically I'm like, I could see an argument for. I could see an argument. I do not have strong feelings on it. So when he's done, let's look when he's done, and then we'll see about it.
He's been done for 3 years. All right, Frankie Montas, 6 shutout innings with 7 Ks. Yeah, I know it's against the Tigers. Who cares?
If you watch that start, though, Joe, if you watch it, because I did, because I sat, because you and I are heavily invested in Montas because we both really sung his praises. I watched it. You would feel encouraged if you watched that start, regardless of the opponent. He looks good, bouncing back after that first terrible start. I think it was against the Dodgers.
We told you to buy. Yep. We were like, look, just go buy. It's gonna be fine. It's just coming out of the gate. Go buy. Keep buying in on Frankie Montas. And if you did, you got him on the super cheap. Jeff Hoffman for the Reds, 6 innings, 1 run, 4 Ks. They banished De Leon to the bullpen, at least for now, with Sonny Gray back. But if people drop De Leon, that's an interesting arm to kind of in deeper leagues just kind of stash on your bench for the cheap right now. Just throwing that out there. Are you buying on Jeff Hoffman at all?
I want to mention Jeff Hoffman because I'm not crazy excited about him or anything like that. I think he has like a 143 whip to go along with his 293 ERA. But Hoffman was a guy who once upon a time you were kind of excited. I remember when he got called up, it was like 1,000 years ago with the Rockies, but he was with the Rockies. So you were like, whatever. And kudos to somebody. We did a chat on Clubhouse a few weeks ago in the first opening weekend, and he mentioned Jeff Hoffman, and we were all like, Jeff Hoffman, nobody cares about it. But remember, this is a guy who at one point was a big prospect.
Once upon a time. Yep.
Yeah, once upon a time. And again, he doesn't have anything that really, goes crazy with it, but he did reintroduce his slider, which he used to toy with, and it's been an effective pitch. So I do think that there is something. This is a guy put on your watch list. You don't have to add him right now, but put him on your watch list. Don't completely discount him. I see nobody talking about him. I'm mildly intrigued. So just keep your eye on Jeff Hoffman.
All right, let's talk about the good pitchers doing really good things. Max Scherzer, 7 shutout innings on Friday against the D-backs, 10 Ks. We told you. We hope you invested. And I know I got some tweets that some people did. They were very, very pleased with us. And in terms of the good and the bad, I didn't mention any bad because Friday we were pretty darn good. Like, I don't remember too much bad on the Friday night. I looked.
Very good night. Very good night on Friday night, for sure.
We kept it simple, and that's good. And tonight we'll keep it simple. There's only, 6-7 games on the slate. Yep. So, Tyra Glasnow, 5 innings, 1 run, 7 Ks against the Yankees. The Yankees are struggling right now. DeGrom, just unbelievable. In that game, in that 7-inning game, Colorado had 30 swing and miss. 30. It's unbelievable. It's just crazy how just dominant DeGrom was in that game. And then I got a little worried that Diaz came in the 7th, but he's been electric too. I want to give a shout out to Edwin Diaz because that's another guy, good pitcher doing good things.
Yes.
I want to see when he eventually does give up that first home run of the year, how he bounces back. But so far, the dude looks like the dude you were supposed to be acquiring a couple years ago. Clayton Kershaw, big start from him. We talked about that. Him and Darvish matched horns. Bieber's been great. Garrett Cole continues to be the only guy in that Yankee rotation. I still feel good about Montgomery. I told you, I think that's a guy low-key to add. Are we going to get Johnny Lasagna back in the rotation? The Loizaga? We're going to get him?
I have no idea what they're doing. I have no idea what they're doing.
Where are we going if you're the Yankees? John Means, that's where you're going.
Yeah, they'll make some deal because right now it is really, Cole is a standout. Then you've got Montgomery, who I agree with you, by the way, has been pretty impressive from when I watch him. Other than that, I am just, anytime they throw any arm out there, I'm just closing my eyes.
It is the 19th of April, Dan. I am going to say before June 1st, John Means is a Yankee. How about that?
Okay.
You like that? But before
right.
June 1st, go get John Means. John Means, I tell you put him there with that Yankee team, good things will happen. And they got the goods to make a move like that. They got plenty of pitching in the tank. You want to deal with Clark Schmidt or somebody like that? Do it, King. Any of those guys. Aaron Nola, complete game shutout was brilliant. Look, you know, I got pwned yesterday on the DFS slate because I had Freddie Peralta against the Pirates. I thought that would be the lock. I faded the top of the board. I shouldn't have because Bieber was Bieber. And that's something I never do, right? I totally went against myself. How many times on the show do I always say, Bieber's on the slate, just start Bieber? And then Aaron Nola went out and threw a complete game shutout with 10 Ks. Greinke, 8 shutout innings for him. Were we worried about Greinke and that bad start? No. We told you, don't panic about that. Very good, 6 Ks. ERA is under 3. Trevor Bauer looked good, 7 Ks for him. What about his balls? I haven't heard anything about Trevor Bauer's balls in a few weeks now. Are they still examining them? What's going on?
I think they're messing with them, is my guess. But yeah, I don't know. I don't spend much time thinking about Trevor Bauer's balls. I will be honest.
Well, if you're trying to spend time thinking about your balls, Manscaped is just the product for you. Go to manscaped.com. Over 2 million customers are very pleased with Manscaped and all their products, including the Lawnmower 3.0. It's got the advanced skin-safe technology, the 7,000 RPM motor, the quiet stroke technology. Everybody loves a good quiet stroke now and again, and so do your balls. And I'm telling you right now, with beach season around the corner, pool season around the corner, you want to make sure you get your Manscaped products and make sure that the goods look good to everybody out there. So get in on the waterproof technology, the LED light, the Lawnmower 3.0, the best version ever. I don't even know if they can make a 4.0 because the 3.0 is so good. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code LEADINGOFF. Again, that's one word, LEADINGOFF at manscaped.com. 20% off plus free shipping. Your balls will thank you. And we want to thank Manscaped for being one of our sponsors here on the program. What about some pretty good pitchers doing pretty good things? Matthew Boyd, 7 innings, 5 Ks. Marcus Strowman, 8 innings, 5 Ks in Colorado. The ERA is now under 1. I mean, this is just very exciting. And Blake Snell, 5 innings, bounced back after a bad start. He's a little, kind of finding his way a little bit. You know me, I'm not the biggest Blake Snell guy, but Strowman and Boyd certainly having great seasons. And I know a lot of people, including you, were very much on Marcus Strowman in terms of ROI draft season. And my goodness, he looks ready to go, and he's fun to watch. He's got swagger. He's got that thing where, he's pounding on his chest, he's pumping his fist, and I love that, man. That, to me, is the baseball that I grew up with, and I like to see more of it. And I know it turns some people off. Me, turns me on. I like it. Let's go.
Yeah, it was great to see. I was a little worried when he had that because he had the weird thing where he pitched on Sunday or whatever it was last Sunday, and then it was postponed, so you didn't know what his starts would be. The fact that he had a start in Colorado made me a little nervous. But again, he is the guy to go in there because he has such a sinker, keeps the ball on the ground. He does look great. And as again, the big thing with me is that I thought maybe there would be an uptick in strikeouts. There hasn't been, but it doesn't matter because he's been that good. And again, the infield defense really makes a difference. As for Boyd, I'm in now. I mean, the fact that he's
I think you have to be now. That's another guy who's going to be on there.
He's moving somewhat away from his fastball a little bit. Against his fastball is the one that gives up all the homers, really. Moving somewhat away from it. He's pushing up the changeup, which is a really good pitch. So between the changeup and the slider, it's hard to stay away. And again, another guy who probably is going to get traded at some point to a contender and will probably contribute in the W's. So I am all in now on Boyd. It took a while, but I'm there, and I always have been on Strowman.
If I was the Houston Astros, I'd be all in and getting Boyd. I think that's the perfect guy for them. They've got a lot of pieces to move. You're worried about McCullers right now because he's hitting the IL. He's not right.
I don't think he's on the IL, but I think that he's missing.
Oh, he's not. He hasn't hit it yet.
I think he might. Or maybe he has been. He might be pushed back. I think.
I had to check this morning to see if I was put on the IL. I got to be honest with you. Mr. Freeze wants to know, sell high on Strowman. No, because I don't think anyone's going to give you a high end offer. You're better off just keeping him the rest of the season and taking what you're getting, which is quality starts, win equity, and good ratios. I mean, they're not going to stay under 1, but there's going to be some regression at some point. But look, if you could sell him and bring back a big time starting pitcher, okay, but that's not in a package, maybe. But I just don't see that happening. I don't see anybody doing that. All right,
I think that's If somebody would, like, if you can flip him for like a top 20-ish starter, then you do it without hesitation. But I agree with you, especially with the lack of Ks. I don't see anybody, even me, the biggest Strowman fan in the world. I'm not. I wouldn't do it. So just ride the wave. But it's going to be a good wave. I'm telling you, it's going to be a good wave. So enjoy it.
Hashtag ride the wave. That's what we're doing. All right, here we go. Get ready. Get your pens and papers out. Here's who's hurt. Ronald Acuna left last night with a lower abdominal muscle. I don't know what it was. He slid back into first. I saw it. I thought just the wind got knocked out of him. And then he slid headfirst into home plate. And I said, "What are you doing? What? You just had this."
They don't have another gear, man. They go full speed. That's all.
Anyway, let's hope for the best, but I'm not hopeful. Christian Yelich finally put on the IL. Bellinger, we don't know when he's coming back. Strasburg on the IL with shoulder inflammation. Let's hit a pause here. No timetable for his return. I mean, here we go.
I'm so mad at myself, Joe, because I was fading him, and then it got sort of the whole, well, look, I mean, the carpal tunnel thing seems like nothing. And I was like, all right, well, then let's see what we've got here. And just as bad. I was hoping it was the vaccine sort of effect from his last start, but it wasn't. I'm not whatever. Not
You're right. Gross. That's pretty much that we need to know. Lance Lynn put on the IL. This one came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah.
This is very upsetting to me. It's retroactive, so let's hope he's only going to miss the one start. That's what it seems like, so let's not panic. Starting Marte, tweaked his oblique. I saw him leave. Goodbye. Yeah. We'll see you in a couple weeks. He's going to be gone. Good news. Brian Hayes progressing. He should be back soon. Framber Valdez ahead of pace. Also, Carlos Carrasco threw 65 pitches this weekend, too, in a simulated game. That's positive. Grisham was scratched with a quad injury yesterday. Keep that in mind. He had come back and then now back on the IL. Maybe we'll see. Probably not, but we'll see what happens. McCullers uncertain about his next start. I think they're going to put him on the IL. I just think that's what's going to happen. I'm
IL again is something. Everybody. It's 10 days. If he hasn't pitched in 4, what's the difference at this point? Well,
because you sent down Christian Javier, right? Because you're making all the moves down, trying to get guys roster right and all that stuff like that. So to me, they're going to be fluid with the roster, and I just think this week you have to be prepared for that. Yep. Also, the Twins and A's are they're scratched
tonight. Yep.
Postponed tonight too. And Jake McGee was placed on the IL. Which is funny because just yesterday we were talking on the TV show about what a great season Jake McGee's had.
Well, I think this is just related to vaccine.
It seems like vaccine symptoms,
right?
Issues,
so he may be back, he may be back tonight, I think, because you can do that. That's the one thing, by the way, you should keep in mind with when they don't say the 10-day IL. Watch the language. If they don't say 10-day IL, it might be the COVID IL, which you can do for symptoms from the vaccine, which means you could be back tomorrow. So just don't freak out about Jake McGee.
Tim Locastro fractured his finger and was placed on the IL. Then we have Sanchez and Albies, both of them hit by pitches, both removed from games, so keep an eye on that. Yeah. And we talked about Tatis already being back, but you're still really concerned. I'm going to put this out there to you because it's something I'm dealing with in my home league where it's a keeper league. It's a situation where, it's an auction, so there's escalating salaries, and Tatis is $5. And I'm in talks right now. I've got a very good team. I'm in talks right now to get Tatis potentially for Torkelson, Wander Franco, and McKenzie, all of which are like $1 players. And Tatis is a $5 player with escalators now of $5 for the next couple of years. Would you take that kind of risk to acquire Tatis right now where someone's sketchy about him, but he's back and he's on the field playing? Or are you really concerned that this year's going to be a wash for him when all's said and done?
I think that's a risk that you could take. And regardless, I mean, you can keep him for the next 8 years anyway, given the escalator regardless. But either way, I'm going into this. I'm giving in my mind Tatis another 40 games for the rest of the season. I just don't see how he's going to be able to avoid having surgery sooner rather than later. But it's a risk for that price for people who aren't really going to help you that much this year. I'd be willing to take it. But again, I'm going into it, and I'm just not. It doesn't matter how well he performs. He could hit home runs each of the next, 5 games. I'm still basically banking a few more weeks, and from everything I've read, I find it almost impossible for him to be able to finish out the season.
It's concerning. It's certainly concerning. All right, look to the peanut gallery real quick before we continue. Is Michael Wacha a buy? Not for me. Sorry, I just can't do it. No. So Ryan Quinn said he traded Mullins to get Springer. Now, I can only assume there's more in that deal than just Mullins.
Nice job.
Ryan, if you just got him straight up, well done. Let's
invite us to your league, please.
I'd like to play in that league, and I'd like to bring all of my money with me. That would be fun. But yeah, and last one here, Gavin Lux to the IL with a sore wrist. I saw somebody in our chat, I think it was Bizarriza said he picked up McKinstry, which, I mean, that guy's done nothing but hit out of nowhere.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's exactly what
Ride
you do.
the wave,
think, right?
ride the wave.
Ride the wave, and you can ride that wave in DFS as well. Anything else from the weekend that really kind of stuck out to you?
The only thing is that I think Stephon Crichton got the save for the Blue Jays, for the Diamondbacks. Goodness gracious. Diamondbacks yesterday. And
you're still on a Castellanos high. You're forgiven.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I still remember when I called that home run like 8 days ago. That was amazing. Yeah, Crichton. I think Crichton might be the guy for the Diamondbacks. So for the 4 saves that they'll get for the rest of the season, I think he's probably the guy that I would go after. But that's really it.
By the way, Kevin Biggio continues to struggle. I just want to.
Yeah, he didn't play all weekend. He's only got 5 games this week. So if you in a weekly league, I have Ty France, I'm benching him for Ty France at this point at second base.
Listen to the words he just said. I'm benching Kevin Biggio, a top 60 ADP player for Ty France.
It's more about the injury, and he's got 5 games. But yeah, I'd like to see something at some point.
I'd like to see something too, but I wasn't seeing it. That's why I'm not drafting him. All right, so 6-game slate tonight because you had that one cancellation there in Major League Baseball. Let's start with the good chalk in MLB DFS. And it's the Angels tonight. It's Dylan Bundy. I like the Angels. Just once again, keeping it simple. Now, what's so fascinating here is usually there's, a big chasm in terms of like the pitchers, you go site to site. Typically, they're about the same. There's a big chasm tonight in terms of pitching value where one site has them very high. And usually we do this with hitters where there's a big variance. Well, tonight there's a big variance with pitchers, which is kind of strange. And some of the names might surprise you too. So if you just want to keep it simple and go with the Angels tonight and Dylan Bundy against Texas, I think that's a perfectly good thing to do. Bundy's been solid, but look at this variance. You're getting Dylan Bundy for 9K over on FanDuel, but just 7.7 over on DK, right? Then you have our 4 outcome game of the night, which is the Brewers and Padres. If you want to pick a side, you got Musgrove against Woodruff. Now, no Yelich for the Brewers. Musgrove not great in his last start since the no-hitter. But Woodruff's pitched very well, so this is a tricky one. But once again, price variance. Woodruff, 9.6, just 9. So on DK, which typically, again, you would think it's a little bit different. I think you can even consider Woodruff in GPPs tonight. Musgrove, very expensive on DK. He's 10.2. Weird. I think it's a trap. I would stay away from Musgrove. That's just where I'm at. Then you get to the GPP arms tonight, where you got Kevin Gausman, who's 8.5 on FanDuel, just 6.6 on DK. Joe Ross, who's cheap at 7.6, and Danny Duffy at 8.3 in terms of GPP arms. But I want to go to Gausman here because he's got a matchup against Anderson and the Phillies tonight. And I know it's in Philadelphia, and the Giants are, the Giants are the Giants. They're a scrappy 500 team. They're just kind of go out there. But Gausman's pitched very well. It's 6.6. I don't care if he's like 90% rostered. I think you got to do it, don't you?
That's the thing. On the prices on DK are
somebody got drunk on DK tonight.
Something's weird. Him and Bundy, both of them. I find it hard to avoid them on DraftKings. Yeah, I mean, look, the wind is purportedly blowing out, fairly hard. So that does make me a little worried when you're in Citizens Bank. But yeah, Gausman, he's had a couple of hiccups here or there. But he's looked overall pretty good. And the Phillies lineup, it does not scare me. Only really as solid as it is, kind of from top to bottom, really doesn't scare me in DFS unless you're going against somebody like Carlos Martinez, who we picked on. Gausman's not that quality. So on DK, given the price, him and Bundy are the 2 guys that I'm looking at.
All right, so we've got another kind of 4 outcome game here because Joe Ross has pitched pretty well and Flaherty's on the mound against him. So Nats and Cardinals is another one. Look, this is a very tricky night. This feels more like a tournament night than a cash game night to me, just because of the way things are set up, unless you're just going to, once again, keep it simple with Bundy and the Angels, which I think is what you do in cash tonight. Mm-hmm. In tournaments, it's not a single entry night. We've talked about this before, and we were right the last time we mentioned this, where you just got to try a couple different things. Maybe instead of playing a $10 tournament, you play $2 $5 entry somewhere and you change things around. Look, not everybody has $100 every day or $1,000 every day to spend on this. We're trying to play this along with you in that sense of, look, you don't have to have that to have fun and to play, and maybe you get lucky one of these nights and you actually hit everything right. But to me, I'm going with Gausman as that secondary armor on DK. I'm going to probably go with the safer option there with Bundy. If you want to mix in Woodruff, that's okay too. But once again, they're kind of in the same price range, so I don't see why you would even do that and take that chance, because I think the win equity for Bundy is so much higher.
Yeah.
The stack of the night for me is the Dodgers, once again keeping it simple against is it Seattle.
By the way, we didn't even mention May, did we? Do you have any interest in Dustin May?
Well, here's my thing with May is that although he's got the strikeout potential, what's the chances he gets past the 5th inning?
Well, I mean, I think that he can get there against a lineup like the Mariners, right? I mean, you know, they're not. Yeah,
he can, but I know Bundy's gonna. I think Bundy. Look, last year he got the 6 quite a bit, Bundy, and 6 plus. So he's continued that trend this year. I want to say he's had 6 innings in all 3 of his starts. I will double check that right now while we're talking here. But I'm okay with May. My concern is, yeah, he has actually 6 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at for the guy who's going to give me the same kind of strikeout equity, because I think he does. He's got 22 strikeouts on the year and 19 innings. So why would I go with May when Bundy is a safer option to get to 6, which gets me closer to a win, which also, in terms of opponent, is equally good against Texas tonight, who's got a ton of strikeouts in that lineup too. That's kind of my fade of May.
The Angels are even heavier favorites than the Dodgers are at this point, right? They're minus 210 versus minus 201. The other thing is, again, on DraftKings, and I just want to ask it because I know May
it's a very good question, and May will be heavily rostered tonight, but I think, why would you take that risk unless you're just trying to be different, you know?
Right. That is something on DK in particular. Bundy is $2,000 cheaper than May. They're very similarly priced on FanDuel. The pricing on for the pitchers on DraftKings is just nutty right now. You can really get some value there.
Yeah. All right. I know we're going long here today, but it's always the Monday week. You know, we got to recap a ton of things. I want to pay up today for Whit Merrifield. Guy's just on fire. He's got to hit every single day, it feels like. Ohtani, I want to pay up for today. Mookie, I want to pay up for today. So that I'm bringing these guys to light because there's a lot of cheap pitching options. Look, Danny Duffy's been very good too. Do not dismiss how good of a run he's been on. This is another guy too as a secondary arm, especially on DK. I like it more than as a standalone arm on FanDuel. Again, you could pick a side with the Brewers and Padres tonight. You could pick a side if you want to with the Nats and Cardinals. I'm going to keep it simple. Lineup builders tonight on FanDuel: Taylor and Will Smith 2.9, Hunter Dozier 2.2, Yadi Molina 2.8. He had a very nice weekend. Hunter Dozier on DK 3.1. Not a lot of value on DK with the bats tonight. That's why you have to go with some of these value pitchers and probably double up on them. And the variance, Yaz, right? Mike Yastrzemski, 5.2 on DK, just 3K on FanDuel. That's telling you there's good pricing there on FanDuel. Take advantage of that. That gives us our home run call tonight. So, Dan, since you are the leader, the board is yours. Who are you taking to call your shot with?
You just mentioned him. I am actually going to go a little under the radar with Yaz. You got the lefty against Chase Anderson. The wind is blowing out to right field. So I think I think one of Yaz or Dickerson is going yard tonight. So I'm going to go with Yaz. Again, and you mentioned it, 3 at the price difference on DK versus FanDuel. On FanDuel, it's only 3,000. Dickerson also makes a good bet at only 2.3K on FanDuel. So both those guys I'd put in my lineup. But either way, I'm going with Yaz as my official home run call of the night.
Well, now that I'm behind one officially to Dan, I'm going to open up my Shohei Ohtani Spite store on the show. Give me Shohei Ohtani to go yard tonight. I like this one. He's at home. He did very well there this year, so give me Ohtani. So real quick, Peanut Gallery wants to know, Robert Williams, drop Victor Robles. Look, if there's somebody out there who can help you, I think it's okay. It's frustrating, but it is what it is at this point.
I'm holding. I'm holding. I want that.
I'd like
to
hold, but not everybody can be in that mode. I'm holding also. Hold. But at any rate, yeah, very, very, very brave-hearted. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it might take some face paint by the end to really get strong enough in order to keep holding. All right, I want to remind everybody to use that promo code leading off on manscaped.com to get 20% off and free shipping. Plus, we got that Ronald Acuna jersey giveaway. It is pain-free, that jersey, even though Ronald Acuna is not. Take a screenshot of a review of our show. You go over to fantasypros.com/MLB contest. You go, you fill out the form, you upload your screenshot, and just like that, you're entered to win. Again, that's fantasypros.com/MLB contest. Thanks to our friends at pristineauction.com. Sign up for Pristine Auction today. That'll do it for Dan Harris and myself. We'll be back again tomorrow to do it all again, and hopefully I'll have evened up the home run board. I am over. I am pathetic. I am a loser right now. We need to get on the board. All right, that'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Dan Harris, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.